The second week of rifts have just launched for Moco, so here's your basic outline guide on how you want to complete these rifts. And as I'm recording this, there's 6 days and 10 hours to still level up and get stronger, so don't worry if you can't get 5 stars the first time. The first rift that we are going to have in this new pack is Moonlit Ruins. For those of you who played old Moco, you will remember this rift. And this rift is just about the same as it was before. There are a few weapon choices that I will suggest for this rift because there are a few different ones that do work great on this one. The Techno Fists are a great pick because they have the bounce damage for a lot of the enemies spreading around. They also have single target damage for when you get to the end where you're going to be fighting the Ladybug boss as well. And they also always have that great healing as well that you can use if you're getting into a tough situation. Another good choice for a weapon as well could be the Venom Bow on this rift. You really can't go wrong with this weapon. With the amount of damage it can do to a bunch of groups of enemies, this one will work great with how much you will be running into that on this rift. The Speed Shot is also a good choice if you're good with that weapon as well. This one has the piercing damage, which will work great for the groups of enemies, and you can also use your abilities, which will do a lot of great damage. If you're in for going on a little bit of a riskier play, the Headbanger also could work on this map. With the amount of group damage this one can do to big areas of enemies, this one could be a good pick if you're good at using it, and I have seen it be successful on this rift. Most of the rifts now are actually a little bit easier than they were in old Moco. For most of these rifts, if you're a decent enough power, you can actually just run straight to the end, which is what most people do, and then fight off the enemies before you take on the boss. There are speedrunners as well once you want to get the 5 stars who will run straight to the end and fight the boss while fighting the enemies at the same time. But if you're just going for that first clear on the rift, I would suggest just running to the end, taking out all of the enemies, and then going for the boss. The Venom Bow and Techno Fists are going to be great for taking care of the groups of enemies, and then going for that single target damage on the boss. The Speed Shot Bow, the Techno Fists are going to be great. Overall, Moonlit Ruins isn't going to be too hard of a clear. Next on the Rift set, we have Royal Guard. Now, if anyone remembers old Moco, this one was also in there as well, but instead of it starting on the Beetle Rider, it's just going to be the Royal Knight you are fighting. For the weapon choices on this map, my first option would actually be the Speed Shot Bow. Now, on this rift, you're going to be fighting just one boss, except with this boss, he has a shield. You're going to want to make sure you're staying on the back end of the boss the whole time, or at least trying to, so you can do as much damage as possible. The Speed Shot has an ability that's an aerial attack that will come from above, so you can do damage with it every single time without it missing because it gets blocked by the shield. The Techno Fist and Venom Bow would be decent if you're able to stay on the back end, but they can't have as much consistent damage just because the shield will block most of it. A good weapon that could be a decent strategy if you are playing alone is the Lava Shield. Now, instead of doing the damage yourself on this one, you're going to be setting your teammates up to do the damage. If you're playing solo and your teammates and you aren't going to be as coordinated, you could set it up so they can deal the damage. If you pick the Lava Shield, you can tank all the damage and make sure the boss stays focused on you 100% of the time. This way, your teammates can stand on the backside and do as much damage as possible while you're taking all of the hits in the front. So my 2 top picks for this map would be the Lava Shield or the Speed Shot Bow. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult to complete, but it shouldn't be too bad once you get the hang of the boss's attacks. Just make sure you're dodging all the attacks, you're staying behind the boss doing damage, or if you're using the Lava Shield, staying on the front side and setting up your teammates so they can do as much damage as possible. Next up on the Rift set, we have Target Priority. For this Rift, I would heavily suggest the Venom Bow 100%. For this one, you're going to want to run straight in, alert all the enemies to start running after you, and then you're just going to keep walking backwards and using that Venom Bow power. And if your teammate is using the Venom Bow as well, this one could be really easy actually to get the 5 stars. This one's probably going to be the easiest one in the Rift pack because all you're doing is alerting the enemies and then staying away and using the Venom Bow. Not much more to it than that. The next Rift that we have is Bug Fight. This is going to be a score hunt Rift. Basically, if you didn't play the last Rift pack, this is just one where everyone on the team runs around taking out as much enemies as possible to claim points to hit a certain goal. This one I didn't actually find too hard playing through it for the first time. This is Editor Cinder in the future. Completely ignore what I just said. When I first did this Rift, I got super lucky on my first run with great teammates and we had a perfect run and I just got lucky. When I was trying to record to get this Rift done for the video, I had to play it for probably like 30 minutes before I was able to get another good run. Just like on the last rift pack we had with Score Hunt, I heavily suggest using the Venom Bow method once again. It will make this one go so much better. My suggestions for this rift are going to be what I call the core 3 weapons, and that's going to be the Speed Shot, the Techno Fist, and the Venom Bow. These ones are all going to work great in the rift. With how much enemies you're running into, you're just going to be able to do so much damage, and it's going to work great. And if you also just want to try to protect your teammates, the Lava Shield will always work as well, just trying to get that first clear on the rift. So taking any of the core 3 weapons into this rift is going to work great. You can run through, either follow your teammates. Going off on your own is a little more risky, especially when you run into a boss, but I would suggest trying to go for the huge bells. If you go for these ones, you're not going to have a boss actually trying to attack you, and you're going to be able to take him out a lot quicker, and you're going to be able to get those points faster. So if you go alone, I would suggest going for the bells. If you stay with your team, you could probably engage any boss just fine, and you're going to be able to clear the rift easily. Moving on, we have a rift that would strike terror into any OG Moco player, and it's Rooftop Rumble. I've definitely had my fair share with this rift, and let's just say when I saw this the first time, I was like, oh crap. It's Rooftop Rumble. Now you already know weapons of suggestion for this one. It's going to be Techno Fist or the Venom Bow 100%. The Speed Shot would not work as great as those two, but it would still put in a decent amount of work if you'd like to try that one as well. If you're good at the Zapsicle, this one is a very high maybe, but you might be able to get it to work if you're very good at it. And then the Lava Shield, I'll also throw in there as well as a weapon suggestion. This one is also great at just making sure you're staying alive if your teammates die, or you can also protect your teammates, which will also work great for damage. For Rooftop Rumble, enemies are going to be spawning in waves over you going through and clearing a section of enemies. I would recommend trying to stay somewhat close to your teammates so you don't get singled off and taken out super quickly. But if you take in the Venom Bow or the Techno Fist, you can just do as much damage as possible, stay away from the enemies, and it should be fairly easy. You just want to be careful when the bosses spawn in and save your dash for the right moments to get away. And if you're taking the Lava Shield, you can stay in the middle of the fight. Every time a wave spawns in, instantly use your call ability that gets all of the enemies towards you so your teammates can do the most damage possible. And that's probably going to be the 2 best ways that you can get this rift cleared. And lastly, on the rift pack, we have the Grand Library. For this rift, I'm going to be suggesting the Techno Fist and the Speed Shot Bow. In this rift, the boss really attacks in all different directions, so the Lava Shield isn't going to do too much on this one, protecting your teammates too. What you're going to want to do is circle around the boss and just keep doing damage and dodging the attacks as he's throwing them. There's going to be a lot of attacks where he shoots it all around him and it seems like there's no way to dodge, but if you watch for the little patterns, it'll leave little pathways that you can follow through if you're able to dodge everything. This one is just going to be one boss you're taking out, so once you take him out, you're not going to have to worry about anything else spawning in. I would suggest the Techno Fist over the Speed Shot just a little bit more, because if you're playing solo with other random teammates, you'll be able to use that healing ability to help heal them up if they're getting low. With the Techno Fist as well, if you use your single strike attack boost, this will give you and your teammates a small speed up on attack for just a little bit, so it'll give a little more damage. But overall, if you're just going for the first clear on this one, if you just play it safe and keep circling around dodging attacks, you're gonna do great on this one. There's also one more rift as well that's not part of the main pack, called Boss Fight. On this one, you're just gonna be fighting a Beetle Rider, so it's just gonna be another boss fight with just one to take out. This one is fairly close to being done already, but if you are still able to play this one, I would suggest Techno Fist or Lava Shield are probably your best way to go. Lava Shield will keep them away from your teammates so they can do a lot of damage, and the Techno Fist will be great with the single strike plus the small speed up for you and your teammates. Hopefully you'll be able to get that first clear on the rift, and don't worry, we still have 6 days to level up and get stronger before we need to go for those 5 stars. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and this is Captain Cinder checking out. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.